everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today is a very chilly day here in Cochrane. It's -28 right now, and with the wind chill it's much colder. We've got a severe weather warning, so I thought the best thing to do today was just to stay inside. And my friend Gaynor on Stamp with Joy, she always puts up a weekly sketch. And I don't always have time to join in, but because it's such a cold day and I'm not going out at all, I decided I'd do her sketch challenge. And her challenge was something that looked much better than my rough drawing, but it was a card with 3 circles and a strip across, and this had a little sentiment in, but you could do whatever you wanted with this piece. I noticed some people had stamped on a little piece of card here, some people had put another little circle, whatever they wanted. So this is my interpretation. And earlier, a couple of weeks ago I think it was actually, a lady asked me if I would make available the sizings for my card. So I thought if I just wrote them on a little piece of card and left them here on the side of my paper and where I'm working, you could see exactly what sizes of card I was using and what you needed to cut. Okay, so for my card I decided I would use Granny Apple Green. I've only just bought the card and the ink and the ribbon for Granny Apple Green. It's a beautiful colour, but I wanted to use up some more of my lemon lime twist before I started to use anything that was a similar colour, let's say. But once I got this last week, I wondered why on earth I'd waited, because it is so pretty. So I decided to use that for my base, and I've got a piece of card cut at 11 by 4 1/4, and I've scored it at 5 1/2. And those of you who follow me will know that if I've cut a piece of card that way, it's going to be a horizontal card. So I've just folded it. I didn't need to burnish it yet. I've just pressed it with my finger. The next thing we need are 2 pieces of white card, and there's going to be one for the front and one for the inside. And these are cut at 5 by 3 3/4. Now I will put the one on the inside ready, but I'm not quite ready to attach the one for the front, and I'll show you why in a moment. So let's put this on here. It's quite a nice border on there, with it being a 1/2 inch smaller all the way around. You get just a little bit more of the green showing through. Okay, you need some scraps of white for doing your stamping. And for my circles, I chose from the Label Me Pretty this Thank You for Caring stamp. You could use any stamp that you want, but I just wanted to make one that was a thank you card. And then I used the butterflies, not from our butterfly gala set, but from the painted glass set, and I used these ones. And then after I'd stamped them, I just used my 1 1/2 inch punch and cut them out. And here they are. So here's the one that's Thank You for Caring, and here are the 2 butterflies. And I've coloured one of the butterflies in. I'm just going to finish colouring the other one. So let me just see where I put, oh, my pens are right in front of me. So my pens that I got out are the Granny Apple Green, light and dark. I have my Balmy Blue, light and dark. And I have my Daffodil Delight, light and dark. And the ink I used was Memento, because that's one of the inks that goes really well with our blends. You always have to choose an opposite ink to what you're colouring in with. So if you're colouring in with our blends, they've got alcohol inside. So you use a watercolour ink or a water-based ink. So Memento is water-based. If you were colouring with the ink from our stamp pads, then that is a water base. So you would use StazOn ink. And that way, none of the inks bleed into each other. Okay, so you can see that I've coloured one. I'm just going to finish colouring the other one while I talk to you. This is the light Granny Apple Green, and I'm using the bullet end because some of these are very, very tiny. So just colour these in, just these little dots. And then I'm using the light balmy blue, and again I'm going to use the bullet end just because I don't want to go over the yellow at all. And remember, when you're using these, it will go through onto the back of the card. So if you need the back showing, stamp out another circle the same size, just glue it on the back and then you can't see it. So we just quickly just finish that. And then with the dark granny apple green, I just did the body. And again, I'm using the bullet just because it's a tiny area. My eyes aren't all that brilliant, and I didn't want to sort of go over. When you're using the blends as well, remember, don't go right to the edge of the ink because it does bleed out a little bit. And if you go right to the edge, you find that you get ink going past your stamped image. So just stay slightly inside. Now, I'm not going to do any colouring on here. I thought about maybe cutting out a little red heart and putting it on here, and I might do, but at the moment I'm leaving it as is. If you want as well, you could use a larger punch and do a little backing for your circles, but I don't need that on this card. Okay, so let's make the front of our card. Here's our white piece, 5 by 3 3/4, and I have some DSP that I've used the little 6-inch pack from the Brights, and I've chosen 2 of the granny apple green pieces because I didn't know if I was going to use this striped piece or if I was going to use this striped piece, but I actually like this one because it just looks a bit more sort of spring-like and fresh. So this is the one I'm going to use, and I can glue that down. But the joy of these kind of cards is you use whatever DSP you've got. I should really be using some out of my closet that I have, that I've had maybe 3-4 years. I am a little bit of a paper hoarder. I'm not so good at using it up. Sometimes I really don't want to cut it because I think, oh, once I've cut it, that's it, I've used it, I'll have to buy another set. So I'm trying hard to use current colours and using packets up. Well, we'll see how we get on with that anyway. So this is going to be now our front, and I want to put a ribbon across. Remember on the sketch where they had this little piece of card or DSP? I'm actually going to use ribbon, and I'm not putting a sentiment here. I'm going to put a bow here or a knot. Not decided yet. I've not decided. Okay, and I got 2 out for consideration. I got the white flax and I got the granny apple green. I think if I'd gone with this paper, I would have used the white flax. But on here, it doesn't show up as much as I'd like it to. So I'm going to use the granny apple green, and I only need a piece that's just a tiny bit longer than my, my layers. I'm going to stick that on because I'm not going to tie a bow on it yet. I'm going to do a separate bow and glue that on. And I'm going to attach this with my, is there a right side and a wrong side before I decide? Ooh, don't really know if there is, but I'm just going to attach this with tear and tape. Okay, and that way I know it's glued all the way down, and I don't have to worry about working out on the back where it's going to be level, where to put my glue, because it's just got this tear and tape on. Sometimes it can be a bit tricky though when you use it on ribbon, just to get the paper off and the first part of the adhesive to stick down. Okay, now I'm going to line this up on my grid paper, and I want these, I want to be sort of 2, maybe 3 squares up, so I'm going to do it at 3 and make sure it's 3 on the other side. So I've got 1, 2, 3 squares, 1, 2, 3. On this paper, I find it hard to line things up because the lines aren't actually level. And so it means if you go with one of one of these lines, because they can be a bit higgledy-piggledy, you get a higgledy-piggledy ribbon. Okay. My husband's outside blowing snow away right now, and it's, oof, rather him than me. Told him I had a busy job to do. So I don't know what that busy job was. Okay, so now I'm just going to tie a quick little ribbon. Oh, isn't that pretty when it's tied into a ribbon shirt with that little wide edging? I think I like this ribbon. That's might be a little bit bigger than I need. Let's see. Let's see. I can always trim it down later. Okay. Just cut this up here. The whole ribbon might be, the bow itself might be a little bit too big. I've not decided yet. Okay, so I'm actually going to attach this onto my card, and because it's got this little piece of ribbon here, I'm going to use Tombow, but I'm not going to put any on the ribbon, because I found that sometimes if I put it on the ribbon itself just gets wet and it doesn't really stick awfully well. So I don't know if it's because I put too much on or what. But what I am going to put on the back of there is a little piece of tear and tape. And that way the ribbon will be sticking, but it won't be wet. Just have a try at getting it off and leaving the adhesive behind. It will come off, it's just sometimes it's a little bit trickier. Sometimes I'll do it with my piercing tool or with the pokey tool, but today it's coming off nicely. So let's put my card there, and let's get that centered. So because I've got the 1/2 inch difference between the white layer and the green layer, you see how that makes a nicer border. I won't put that on till we've put these on. These I'm going to put on dimensionals. I don't think I need to back them, but let's look. Let's see what it's like with them backed. They were a 1.5 inch, and so I got the 1 3/4 punch and a piece more of the granny apple green. Let's just see. If I don't need them for this, I can use them for something else. That's not a problem. Might be slightly too big once they're mounted. Not sure. What do you think? With or without? Oh, it's like being at the opticians. I went there a couple of months ago, and it's like that. Is the line blacker with? Is it blacker without? I never know if it's with or without. I don't think I'm going to put the circles on, but I am going to pop them on dimensionals. I'm going to do the centre ones first, and I'm going to put 2 on the centre one, because it's quite a big circle for just one. And I don't want it to be sort of squashed or anything. And let me just line this up so I know roughly where the middle is. There we go. And then we'll put dimensionals on the butterflies. And again, I'm going to put 2 on. I could probably have used the mini dimensionals. That would have been, oops, that would have been, 2 would have been just perfect on there as well. I don't actually have any mini dimensionals on my desk at the moment. I was getting ready for craft night, and so all of those things are in my craft room where I have my classes. I'm going to put these down just slightly, and I've got the edge so that it's just on the very edge of the DSP. So I need to make sure that the other one is exactly the same, just on the edge of the DSP. There we go. And then let's see about that ribbon. Actually, I don't mind the big bow. We'll just sort that out a little bit. And then let's put some glue dots on the back. Which way am I having it? That way, I think. I'm going to pop 2 glue dots on. Ooh, they don't want to come, they don't want to stick on the ribbon, do they? Okay, so 2 little glue dots. And let's pop that just there. Pull that down a tiny bit. And then on the inside, I said that we needed a tiny strip of DSP. And I'm only using a little piece that was left from when I cut this. And let's see what I've got. I've got a 3/4 inch piece. And what's that one? A 1/2 inch piece. And I know that the stripes run the other way, but that's not a problem. Should probably have cut it before I stuck it in. Now it goes on that little piece, so let's cut it here. Oh, dotty side's nice. Oh, I'm going with the dotty side. It doesn't always have to match, does it? It's the same colour. And then you could put a sentiment inside if you wanted to. I like lots of room to write. When it's a thank you card, I always like to write a little message inside, and so I need more space to write. But you could easily just stamp a different sentiment on the inside as well. So there you go. That was my my sketch challenge from Gaynor, and I think that makes quite a pretty little card. Thank you so much for watching me. If you think it's useful to have these measurements at the side, I'll carry on doing it. Just let me know if that's how you'd like them, or if you'd prefer me to write them out and put them on the bottom of my video. Thanks so much, everybody. See you all again soon. Bye-bye.